Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I'm not here with Geeky Sparkles in this video. We're going to talk about video games. We're going to talk about Star Wars Outlaws. And yeah, we're looking at the Steam charts for Star Wars Outlaws. This is not an indie game. This is a major AAA release, and it has been released on Steam, and the 24-hour peak, the all-time peak of players is only 2,400 people. Nobody's buying this game. Nobody's playing this game on Steam. And that's the one thing that Ubisoft was hoping for, was that a PC release of Star Wars Outlaws would help pull it out of a tailspin. It's not going very well. It's not going very well for them. So I don't have a lot of hope for Ubisoft to remain independent going forward. I think they're absolutely going to wind up having to sell themselves to Tencent or somebody else, because this company is on fire. Now, if you go out to their stock, I mean, they're down to about $2.60 now, from a high of $20 just a couple of years ago. It's not looking too good for them, and I think there are actually multiple Ubisofts. But yeah, just overall, this company is not doing good. So let's talk about Star Wars Outlaws, and also some other drama, I guess, around the stealth mechanic. I guess are they getting rid of it? Is that what they're doing? I haven't played the game. Apparently nobody's playing the game, so I don't feel too bad about it. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Guys, go out to Clownfish Minus. We got some new merch in the store. We're going to be listing some Bubbly Steves. Very few. We have very few left. Pretty soon, hopefully later today or tomorrow. Check that out. You get exclusive content as well, podcasts and videos that you will not find anywhere else. And also that same content, those podcasts and videos, are mirrored on clownfishtv.locals.com if you prefer to support us over there. Thank you very much, guys. So yeah, this is coming from gagadget.com. Gagadget. Star Wars Outlaws has a dismal start on Steam. The peak online day of release did not reach 1,000 players. I don't think English is their first language. So they wrote on November 21st that Outlaws was finally released on Steam. Players in the most popular digital store in the world were not very interested in the game. According to Steam DB, on November 21st, the peak online presence of Star Wars Outlaws on Steam did not even reach 900 players, but stopped at 834. The situation would have been completely different if the game had been released immediately on Steam instead of 3 months later. I don't think so. I don't think there's any interest in this game. This game was dead on arrival. Pretty much anything Ubisoft and anything Star Wars is dead on arrival, because both Disney and Ubisoft and most of the AAA gaming industry, they've completely alienated their audiences. People had zero excitement for this game. And then when it was released, it was broken, and it had to be patched, I guess, day one or day two, and it deleted people's game saves, and stealth was broken. It's just, this game was a fraction of what was promised. So let's go out to, let's see, PC Games N. Star Wars Outlaws Steam version has fewer than 1,000 players at launch. I think English is their first language, so hopefully this is a little easier to understand for me. They said, yeah, it's out on Steam. The player response so far has been underwhelming, despite the launch of a major new update. They said the RPG has fallen short of Ubisoft's sales expectations, and a re-release on Valve's store doesn't seem to have helped. Yeah, nobody cares. This game is dead on arrival. As someone who likes stories that take a step away from the Jedi, Star Wars Outlaws should be right up my street, according to the author. Yet so far has fallen short of Ubisoft's best open world games. In our Star Wars Outlaws review, we bemoaned it was an uninteresting open world and tedious stealth section, or had tedious stealth sections that dragged it down, and it could have been the start of something special. It was launched on August 30th. It's finally available on Steam, but nobody cares. Basically, they said it only reached 834 people on launch day. That's crazy. The Steam edition of Assassin's Creed Mirage, for example, started slowly but gradually climbed to a high of 7,870 people concurrent. Again, let's look at this compared to Pal World, which had millions of people playing it, and that was an indie title. This is freaking Star Wars. But this brand is damaged. Both Star Wars and Ubisoft. The brands are completely damaged or worthless. Outlaws has also previously been available in other PC storefronts, right? Which could mean that interested players have already picked it up elsewhere. I doubt it. How many other games that followed this model haven't been so dramatically impacted? Satisfactory drew more than 27,000 players when it arrived on Steam after it was in the Epic Game Store. Yeah, that's just it. Nobody cares about this game. There's some hope that we could see a rise, particularly if the response to Star Wars Outlaws Update 1.4, which overhauls combat with changes to both shooting and cover mechanics, ends up being positive. Currently, Steam reviews are 70%. This isn't the major splash Ubisoft was hoping for. Yeah, and they're having all kinds of financial problems now, guys. They're saying that they push back Assassin's Creed Shadows because they can't afford 2 high-profile misfires in a row. Right? Like, they got to polish this turd to the best of their ability, I guess, and then hopefully Assassin's Creed Shadows is somewhat decent. They pushed it back to next year, but I think we're definitely at the end of the line for Ubisoft as an independent or quasi-independent company. I guess they already have a bunch of investors. I think Tencent does own a portion of them, but like, I think they're going to have to sell. They're going to have to sell, and they're going to have to clean house. So this is, let's see, this is The Gamer. Oh my God. Is Star Wars Outlaws ditching stealth a good idea or a bad omen? Yeah, so apparently they're modifying stealth. That was like a big selling point for this game, wasn't it? It's supposed to be like Metal Gear Solid meets Star Wars. They said in the latest of what will likely be a long string of updates for Outlaws has seen the forced stealth aspect removed from most quests. Yeah, it was broken. I saw people doing stealth in this game, and they were like sliding across the ground, and there's like no collision detection whatsoever. It was a very, very broken looking game. It's a decision I simultaneously do not care about, think makes a lot of sense, and I feel it's a terrible idea. These are confusing times. This is a popular move that remaining players will support. And what remaining players, I like that. This is even The Gamer admitting the remaining players will support. And it will probably improve the game. I can't help but feel a bit of ick around it. So this is, again, Stacey Henley from The Gamer. I have no real horse in the Outlaws race. I didn't play that much of it, but what I did felt solid and not quite for me, despite generally liking more traditional open world games. Now, this is what's interesting, because normally the video game journalists would take a contrary position because the chuds did not like this game. So because they did not like it for a variety of reasons before it even came out, mostly centering around the female lead, right? She looked like a dude. But actually now game journos are playing it and they're like, yeah, it's actually not that good. It's not that good. Anyway, Stacy said, I'm not a major Star Wars fan. Ubisoft's shine has dulled after repeating the same trick over and over again for the past decade. The game arrived too late. Yeah. And they said for the sort of tropes it employs, for the popularity of Star Wars in video game form, and for the prestige of Ubisoft, do the fixes help? They said it has a long road to recovery. I don't think players are going to give it another chance. I think Ubisoft's next couple of releases, I think, are dead on arrival. I think most people have already decided they're not going to buy these games. They're not going to support these games. I don't think it matters if you push Assassin's Creed Shadows back to 2026. I don't think people are going to buy it. I think they've already decided they're not going to buy it. They decided before this game came out they weren't going to buy it. Basically, AAA gaming is being starved. The chuds are starving AAA gaming. A lot of these releases are coming out. They look like shit. There's controversy around them, and you're told you have to like these games or you're a bigot, a Nazi, a homophobe, blah, 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 blah. Right? We know the drill. And gamers are tired of it. And there's so much else that you could be playing, whether it's an old game or, some new indie titles or whatever. There are so many more video games out there that you could play, that you could spend your time on, rather than these. And just because they spend a lot of money on them doesn't mean you have to buy them, right? That's a them problem. If they want to burn $400 million on Concord, that's a them problem, not a you problem. You have no obligation to do it because poor Sony, I need to help them out. It's like, I'm beginning to think this is a crazy idea, I know, But I'm beginning to think that these AAA studios need to start looking at video games like independent developers look at video games, and maybe do a crowdfunder first to see if there's even a market for what you want to do. And that's kind of a crazy idea, right? But I think maybe that's where we're at right now. Instead of burning $400 million, $200 million on a game nobody wants, do a crowdfunder or do some kind of a pre-order system or something, and see if people are actually interested in buying this game before you commit dollars to it. Because clearly people are not interested in this game. They said, yeah, here's the ick, according to Stacy. Outlaws had a bad launch at a time when Ubisoft desperately needed a win. The flop was so severe that after a string of so-so showings, Ubisoft delayed Assassin's Creed Shadows. Are you allowed to say that, or is that racist? That the game just didn't look very good. Controversy aside, it just didn't look very good. Some of the problems with Outlaws stem from Ubisoft's reputation, but many others were rooted in the game itself. Did it deserve more of a shot? Maybe. But few of its defenders would say it's anything more than pretty good. Plenty of pretty good games are a lot of fun to play, but from a company with the size and experience of Ubisoft taking on a property as iconic as Star Wars and bringing it into the open world genre for the first time, you'd expect more than pretty good. Outlaws was below expectations, not just in terms of sales. Thank you, Stacy, for actually speaking the truth. And I mean, you can't defend it, especially when you know how much money they throw at these games and how many people they have working on them. When you've got a game like Pal World that had a skeleton crew compared to Ubisoft blowing the doors off of sales, and this is the best you can do for a freaking Star Wars game. God, that is pathetic. This is the best you can do. Number 22. You know, it's over. It's game over. It really is. So I'm going to wrap this one up, guys. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.